I was supposed to be on a blind date, but it felt more like a public humiliation. I stared at my phone for the 10th time in 5 minutes. The screen said 7:34. My date was now 34 minutes late. Around me, couples laughed over fancy desserts I could not afford even if I wanted them. The Sterling room smelled like expensive candles and roasted garlic. White tablecloths, shiny silverware, and candles on every table. Each candle probably cost more than my grocery budget for the week. My friend Marcus had begged me to come tonight. He said his cousin knew someone perfect for me. He said 3 months was long enough to hide in my apartment. He said getting back out there would be good for me. But sitting here alone at table 12, I felt like everyone could see through me. Like they all knew I was the guy whose life fell apart 2 years ago when I walked into my own apartment and found Sarah in bed with Ryan. Sarah was my girlfriend. Ryan was my work partner. In one night, I lost both of them and the business we had built together. After that, I opened a tiny bookstore cafe and tried to rebuild from nothing. Some days it felt like the shelves held up better than I did. I picked up my water glass just to have something to do with my hands. The ice had melted. The water tasted warm and flat. Marcus had texted an hour ago saying my date was amazing and that I would thank him later. But Marcus was also the guy who tried to convince me that eating only soup for 2 weeks was healthy. His judgment was not exactly something I trusted. I was about to stand up and leave. I had already planned my excuse. Work emergency. Something urgent at the bookstore. Nobody questions a man who says he has to work. I grabbed my jacket from the back of my chair, and that is when I saw her. 4 tables away sat Diana Matthews. At first, I thought my eyes were tricking me. What were the chances she would be here? But no, it was definitely her. She wore a dark green dress and kept looking at her phone like it held bad news. Her shoulders were hunched. She looked nothing like the woman I remembered. Diana was my ex's mom, Sarah's mom. I had not seen her since the breakup, not since that awkward phone call where I tried to explain why I could not come to her birthday anymore. During the 2 years Sarah and I dated, Diana treated me better than my own parents ever had. She never forgot I was allergic to shellfish. She always made sweet iced tea when I visited because she knew my grandfather used to make it the same way. She listened when I talked about my dream of owning a bookstore cafe and leaving my job with Ryan. Tonight she did not look like the bright, warm woman I remembered. She looked small and nervous. Diana was usually the kind of person who walked into a room and made everyone smile. Now she looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. A server walked up to her table carrying a bottle of wine. I could not hear him at first, but then his voice got louder. "Compliments of your date, miss," he said. He ordered this earlier as a surprise for tonight. Diana looked up at him. Her face showed confusion. Then she looked back down at her phone. All the color drained from her cheeks. "He is not coming," she said. Her voice shook. "I will just pay for my water and leave." The server's face fell. "Oh, I am so sorry," he said, way too loud. It sounded like an announcement. People turned to look. Every person at the nearby tables turned their heads. Some tried to pretend they were not staring, but I saw them. They leaned toward each other and whispered. I saw pity on their faces and something else. Maybe judgment. Maybe relief that it was not happening to them. Diana's hands trembled as she reached for her purse. Something twisted in my chest. I remembered what Sarah had told me during one of our last fights. Her dad had left Diana for someone half his age. Diana had to sell the house she loved. She had to start over after 25 years of marriage. Now she was getting stood up in a crowded restaurant. The couple next to her whispered. The woman shook her head with a sad look. A man 2 tables behind her caught my eye and shrugged like he was saying, "Women, right?" Without saying the words. My coffee sat cold in front of me. My own date was now 40 minutes late, but I had forgotten all about her. All I could see was Diana counting out money with shaking fingers, her shoulders curving in like she wanted to take up less space in the world. This was the woman who brought me homemade chicken soup when I had the flu 2 Christmases ago. The woman who stood up to Sarah's dad at Thanksgiving when he called my bookstore dream a waste of my degree. She told him to back off and later told me I reminded her of her younger brother who died in a car crash. She said I had the same kind heart he did. I could not just sit there and watch everyone judge her. My hand moved to my wallet. Inside, tucked behind my library card, was my grandfather's ring. White gold, with a small stone. Nothing fancy. He left it to me 3 years ago with a note that said, "Give this to someone who makes you see the world differently." I never knew what to do with it. I always thought I would save it for some future day I did not believe in anymore. But watching Diana blink back tears, watching strangers turn her pain into gossip, I knew exactly what I was going to do. It was completely insane. It would probably blow up in my face. Marcus would think I had lost my mind. Sarah would definitely hear about it somehow. But I was already standing, already walking toward table 15, already committed to the craziest thing I had ever done. Diana had her back to me. She was putting her wallet away. She did not see me coming. She did not know her night was about to change. She was sliding her chair back when I dropped into the seat across from her. She looked up fast, eyes wide. Recognition flashed across her face. "Jason," she breathed. "What are you doing here?" I leaned forward and spoke loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. "Diana, I am so sorry I am late. Traffic coming from downtown was terrible. There was construction on Highway 40. Everything was backed up for miles." She stared at me like I had grown a second head. "I do not understand. You are not my date. I am supposed to be meeting someone named Michael from my art history class. We planned this for weeks." So now I had a name for the jerk who stood her up. I reached across the table and took her hand. She flinched but did not pull away. "I know this is confusing," I said quietly. "Please, just trust me for a minute." Her eyes moved around the room, taking in all the staring faces and the phones held up, recording. I saw the exact moment she realized whatever I was doing, it was bigger than just the two of us. Her fingers tightened around mine. "Jason, what are you doing?" She hissed under her breath. I did not answer. Instead, I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly across the floor. Every head turned toward us. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. "Actually, I cannot wait another second," I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Diana's eyes went huge. "Wait another second? For what?" Then I dropped to one knee on the hardwood floor between our tables. The restaurant went silent. Even the kitchen sounds seemed to stop. I pulled my grandfather's ring from my pocket and held it up where everyone could see. Diana stared at me, then at the ring, then back at me. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What are you doing?" I lowered my voice just for her. "Saving you. Please just play along. I promise I will explain everything later. You do not deserve what is happening to you right now." Then I raised my head and spoke to the whole room. "Diana Matthews," I said, steady and clear. "I have been planning tonight for weeks. I wanted everything to be perfect, but I realized perfect does not matter. What matters is that I cannot imagine another day without you in my life. Will you marry me?" Her hands were shaking, her eyes filled with tears, panic, confusion, and something deeper I could not read. "You are out of your mind," she whispered. "Please," I whispered back, "just say yes. We will figure out the rest later." She looked around at all the faces, all the phones, all the strangers waiting to see what she would do. Then she looked down at me. I saw the decision happen in her eyes. "Yes," she said, her voice shaky. "Yes," I repeated, louder. She nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. "Yes, Jason, I will marry you." The room exploded in applause. People cheered. Someone whistled. The server rushed over with the wine. I slid the ring onto her finger. It fit like it had always belonged there. I stood and pulled her into a hug. For the crowd, it looked romantic. For us, it was survival. Against her ear, she whispered, "You just proposed to your ex-girlfriend's mother in front of 50 people. Sarah is going to lose her mind. What were you thinking?" "I was not," I murmured back. "I just knew I could not watch you walk out of here like that." Her arms slowly tightened around me as everyone kept clapping. In that moment, with her wearing my grandfather's ring and the whole restaurant believing we were in love, I realized something terrifying. This crazy lie had just become our new reality, and there was no easy way back. My phone would not stop buzzing. I slept maybe 3 hours, When I finally gave up and rolled over, the screen lit up so bright it hurt my eyes. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of messages. 2 group chats I forgot I was in had exploded overnight. At the very top was a missed call from Diana M. She called again at 8:47. I answered on the first ring. "Jason," she said. Her voice sounded tight, like she was holding herself together with pure force. "We need to talk right now. This is bigger than we thought." My stomach dropped. "Okay, meet me at the bookstore. 20 minutes. I brushed my teeth, threw on the first clean shirt I could find, and ran out the door. My hands were shaking the whole drive. I kept thinking about last night, her face when I dropped to one knee. The way the ring looked on her finger, the way her arms finally wrapped around me in that hug. The bell over the door rang when I walked into my shop. Diana was already there. She sat at the window table in jeans and an old sweater, her hair pulled back. She did not look like the woman from the restaurant. She looked younger somehow, and more tired. Her phone lay on the table between us. When I sat down, she held it up so I could see the screen. Our proposal video played on loop. Under it was a number that did not feel real. Over 3 million views. "Someone filmed the whole thing," Diana said. "It started on TikTok, then Instagram, then Facebook. People kept sharing it with captions like, 'Love is real' and 'Best proposal ever.'" Quote. She flipped to her messages. "Vanessa called me 6 times, she said. She wants to throw us an engagement party next weekend. My coworkers have been texting all morning. And look at this." She opened her email and showed me one from a local morning show. They wanted us to come on live TV and tell our beautiful holiday love story. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. This is insane. Diana let out a short laugh that sounded more like a choke. My neighbor dropped off muffins and said she cried watching it. She told me I give her hope that there is love after divorce. I did not have the heart to tell her it was all an act. We both sat there in silence for a minute. The store was still closed. The espresso machine clicked and hummed behind the counter. Outside, the street was quiet. Inside, it felt like our lives were on fire. "We have 2 options," I said finally. 1, we tell everyone the truth, right now. We say you got stood up. I panicked. I did something crazy to help. The proposal was fake. Diana's face twisted like she was picturing it. So then I become the woman who got stood up and then got fake proposed to out of pity. I winced. When she said it that way, it sounded cruel. Or, I said slowly, we pretend. Just for a little while. We act like this is real until the attention dies down. Then after the holidays, we say it did not work out. No drama. No big fight. Just 2 people who tried and decided it was not right. She twisted the ring on her finger. I noticed she was still wearing it. "If we tell the truth now," she said, her voice low, "I have to live with everyone knowing I was so desperate I went on a date with some guy from class who did not even show up. Then the whole world watched a stranger rescue me. They do not know me. They do not know how hard this year was. All they will see is a woman people feel sorry for." She swallowed hard. I could see tears threatening. "I do not think I can take that," she whispered. My chest hurt. "Then we do the other thing," I said. "We keep this going for a few weeks." "How long?" she asked. I thought about the parties, the family visits, the way attention spikes and then fades. 3 weeks, I said, through Christmas and New Year's. Then we quietly break up. People will move on. Her shoulders dropped like she had been holding her breath. 3 weeks of being engaged to my daughter's ex-boyfriend, she said, a small, tired smile tugging at her mouth. This might actually kill Sarah. "Perk of the job," I said. She gave a real laugh this time, small but real. "We need rules," she said, suddenly more focused. "Boundaries. We cannot lie to everyone. Kenneth will smell it a mile away." "Okay," I said. "We tell a few people the real version, or close to it. We say it started as you getting stood up, and me helping. But we also say we decided to see where it goes. Because that part is true. We are about to spend a lot of time together." "And the rest of the world?" she asked. "To them," I said. "We met up again a few weeks ago at the art museum. We started talking. We kept seeing each other. Things moved fast." She nodded slowly. People will believe that. I do work at the museum. You love books and old buildings. It fits. A call came in on her phone. She declined it, then slid it aside and looked at me. "For what it is worth," she said, "last night was the first time in 2 years I felt anything other than lonely or angry. So, thank you. Even if this whole thing is completely insane." I smiled. "You are welcome. Even though I may have ruined both our lives." We shook on it like we were making a business deal. 3 weeks, fake engagement, limited lies, no TV, no newspaper interviews. The next few days felt like living in someone else's story. We posted one photo together after people kept begging for more. Just a simple picture outside my bookstore. Her hand on my chest, the ring shining. My caption said, "Sometimes life surprises you." Hers said, "It is never too late to choose joy." The comments went crazy again. Hearts, fire emojis, long paragraphs from strangers about hope and second chances. Then came the invitations. Diana's book club wanted to meet me. Marcus wanted to throw a small party at the cafe. Vanessa insisted on a family dinner. "Get ready," Diana texted. "My brother is going to grill you like you are on trial." She was not wrong. Christmas Eve, I stood on Diana's front porch in my best shirt, holding a bottle of wine that was too expensive for my budget. My heart pounded as I knocked. Kenneth opened the door. He looked like the kind of guy who fixed things for a living and did not take nonsense from anyone. Graying hair, strong jaw, arms crossed over his chest like shields. "So," he said, looking me up and down, "you are the guy who proposed to my sister in a restaurant to a room full of strangers after not seeing her for 2 years. "When you say it like that," I said, "it sounds bad." He did not smile. Behind him, Diana appeared in a soft red sweater and jeans. She looked beautiful and nervous and tired all at once. Her face softened when she saw me. "Jason," she said, stepping forward. "Come in. Ignore my brother. He was born suspicious." Kenneth did not move out of the doorway right away. His eyes stayed locked on mine. I could tell he was trying to decide what kind of man I was. This was it. I had 3 weeks to fool the world, but the real test was standing right in front of me. Kenneth stepped aside just enough to let me in. It felt like I was squeezing past a bouncer at a club I did not belong in. The house smelled like cinnamon and roasted turkey. White lights wrapped around the stair railing. Stockings hung over the fireplace with names stitched on them in red thread. Diana, Kenneth, Vanessa, and one that made my chest tighten, Sarah. I tried not to stare at that one too long. Vanessa rushed out from the kitchen and pulled me into a hug before I could even say hello. She smelled like vanilla and hairspray. "Jason," she said, her voice bright, "I am so happy for you both. You have no idea. Diana has been through so much. You better be the real thing." "No pressure," I said, trying to joke, but my voice came out thinner than I wanted. We sat down to dinner. Kenneth took the head of the table. Diana sat next to him. I sat on her other side, directly across from Vanessa. Every eye on me felt like a spotlight. "So," Kenneth said once everyone had food on their plate, "explain it to me. You have not seen each other in 2 years. Then suddenly you are engaged. How does that work?" Diana opened her mouth, but I spoke first. "We ran into each other at the museum," I said, 3 weeks ago. I was there for the new photography exhibit. She was working. We started talking. It felt different this time. "Different how?" he asked. The table went quiet. The only sound was the ticking clock on the wall and Vanessa's fork scraping her plate. "In the past," I said slowly, "I was dating Sarah. I was always careful around you, Diana. You were my girlfriend's mom. That line was always there. 2 years. A lot has changed. I've changed. She's changed. When we talked at the museum, it felt like we were just 2 people. Not a mom and her daughter's ex. Just us." Diana's eyes flicked toward me. There was something soft in them I hadn't seen before. "That still does not explain why you went from a coffee to a proposal," Kenneth said. "Ken," Vanessa said sharply, "let them breathe." "No, it is okay," I said. "I get it. If Emma showed up one day engaged to someone from her past, I would ask questions too." "Emma?" Vanessa asked. "My niece," Diana said quickly. "Jason's friend's kid." We had agreed not to drag my whole history into this, at least not tonight. The truth is, I said, looking straight at Kenneth, both of us have been hurt. A lot. Her marriage ended in a brutal way. My last relationship ended in a brutal way. When you go through that, you don't want to waste time on people who aren't serious. Being with Diana. I looked at her now, really looked at her. It felt safe and scary at the same time. Safe because she sees me. Scary because I knew if I let myself fall, it would be real. Quote, Diana's fork stopped midway to her mouth. Jason, she said quietly. And the proposal? Kenneth pressed. I smiled a little, remembering the moment. That part was crazy. I'll admit that. I did not plan it. I walked into that restaurant ready for a blind date. I saw Diana getting humiliated by some guy who did not even show up. I saw everyone staring at her like she was a spectacle, and I just acted. I did not think it through. I wanted to change the story for her. I wanted the room to see her the way I did when we reconnected at the museum. Strong, worth choosing, worth fighting for. Silence covered the table for a long heartbeat. Vanessa wiped at her eyes. Well, she said, I think it is the most romantic thing I have ever heard. Kenneth looked at Diana. She gave him a small nod like she was saying, I'm okay, let it go. He sighed and set his fork down. All right, he said. I still have questions, a lot of them. But I also know Diana. She has good instincts about people. If she trusts you, I will try to. He pointed his fork at me. But if you hurt her, I know where you work, and I am stronger than I look. Kenneth, Diana groaned, but she was smiling now. I understand, I said. Honestly, it is nice to know someone is looking out for her. Dinner relaxed after that. Kenneth told embarrassing stories about their childhood. Vanessa kept nudging Diana and asking her to tell the proposal story again, even though everyone at the table had seen the video 10 times already. Diana always skipped the part where she was stood up. She focused on the moment I knelt down. The shock, the way the room clapped. When she got to the part about the ring, she twisted it on her finger without realizing it. Each time she told it, the fake story mixed a little more with the real one. Halfway through dessert, my phone buzzed. I glanced at it under the table out of habit. My chest froze. It was a text from an unknown number, but I knew the rhythm of those words like a song I used to hate. So you proposed to my mother? Seriously, Jason? Sarah. My heart hammered. I looked up. Diana was laughing at something Vanessa said, completely unaware. Another message came in. We need to talk. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. at your bookstore. I'm coming. Diana noticed the change in my face. Her smile faded. Everything okay? She whispered. Yeah, I lied. Just a spam text. It was not okay. It was the opposite of okay. Because the one person we had not thought about properly in all our planning was heading straight toward the center of this mess. Sarah. The next day, I told Diana the truth as soon as she arrived at the cafe. We stood behind the counter, away from customers. She listened while I read the messages out loud. Her face went paler with each word. Of course she saw it, Diana said, pressing her fingers to her forehead. I told myself maybe she wouldn't. That maybe the algorithm would spare me for once. Stupid. She says she is coming at 2, I said. You don't have to be here when she arrives. I can talk to her alone. Take the hit. Diana looked up sharply. You think I'm going to let you face my daughter alone in the middle of this? Jason, no. This is my mess too. It started as my mess, I reminded her gently. I am the one who went down on one knee. And I said yes. She fired back. In front of a room full of people, I have responsibility here. I am not going to hide in my office while you get torn apart. Our eyes held for a long second. Okay, I said finally, we face her together. The hours till 2 crawled. Every time the bell over the door rang, my heart jumped. At 1:57, the shop was almost empty. Ben had stepped out to grab supplies. It was just me, Diana, and a kid in the corner with headphones on. At 2:01, the bell rang. Sarah walked in like a storm in heels. Same dark hair, same sharp jaw, same perfume that used to cling to my clothes for days. She looked thinner than I remembered. Angrier, too. Her eyes went straight to the counter where Diana stood beside me. She laughed once, a sound with no humor in it. "Wow," she said. "You didn't waste any time, did you?" "Hi, Sarah," I said quietly. "Do you want to sit down?" "No," she snapped. "I don't want to sit down in your cute little bookstore with your cute little fake fiancé. I want to understand what is wrong with both of you." Diana flinched. "Sarah, can we please not do this here? There are other people around." The kid in the corner took his headphones off slowly, sensing something electric in the air. "Oh, you are worried about making a scene now?" Sarah said, eyes blazing. "After you let him propose to you in public like some kind of midlife crisis movie? After you let the whole world watch?" Diana straightened a little. "That is not fair." "What part?" Sarah demanded. "The part where my mom stole my ex? Or the part where my ex decided to humiliate me online?" My temper flashed, sharp and sudden, but I kept my voice steady. "Nobody did this to humiliate you, Sarah. You were not even part of that night. You were not invited. You were not mentioned." "Oh, please," she said. "You don't think people sent me the video? You don't think my own father forwarded it with some smug comment about how your mother moved on first?" Quote. Diana's face crumpled for a second at that. "I'm sorry your dad did that," she said, truly, "but this is not about him. Or about you, actually. This is about me and Jason." "No," Sarah said. "It is all about me. Because you two only know each other because of me. You met because I brought him home. You spent holidays together because I dated him. You can't just pretend that history doesn't exist." "We are not pretending," I said. "We remember all of it. You are right. It is messy. It is complicated. But that does not mean Diana loses the right to be happy, or that I do." Sarah looked at me like I had slapped her. "Happiness?" she repeated. "You think this is happiness. This is pathetic." "Sarah," Diana said softly, "that's enough." "Oh, so now you are going to mom voice me?" Sarah shot back. "Where was that energy when you were marrying Dad at 23 and pretending everything was fine for 25 years? Or when you let him walk all over you?" Diana's shoulders tightened. I could see old wounds opening in her eyes. "Your father's choices and mine are not the point," Diana said quietly. "We are talking about right now." "Right now," Sarah said, voice shaking. "My mother is engaged to a man I slept with. Do you understand how disgusting that sounds?" The kid in the corner started packing up his laptop. The air in the room felt heavy, swamp thick. "Sarah," I said, leaning slightly on the counter, "you cheated on me. With my best friend. In our office. You broke us. You don't get to stand here and act like I betrayed you." For the first time, Sarah looked genuinely thrown. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. "I am not proud of what I did," she said after a second. "I was young and stupid and lonely. You were always at work with Ryan anyway. It just happened." "It did not just happen," I said. "You made a choice, over and over, for months. You lied to me. Over and over." Her eyes filled with tears. "So this is what? Payback?" "No," I said. "If I wanted to hurt you, I could have sent that proposal video to you myself. I didn't. What happened at the restaurant wasn't about you. It was about Diana, about seeing someone I cared about being humiliated in front of a room of strangers and not being able to stand it." Diana's hand brushed against mine on the counter. It was a small touch, but I felt it like electricity. Sarah saw it too. Her face twisted. "This is sick," she whispered. "You are my mother. He is my ex. Why him? There are other men in the world." "Because he was there," Diana said, surprising both of us. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were bright. "Because he saw me. I have known a lot of men, Sarah. Your father, his friends, my co-workers. They look at me and see what they want from me. Housewife, supporter, decoration." Jason looked at me in that horrible moment at the restaurant and saw a person in pain and did something kind. Her voice broke on the last word. "And now what?" Sarah demanded. "You ride off into the sunset together? You become my stepfather? You sit across from me at family dinners and pretend this isn't weird?" "We don't know what this becomes yet," I said honestly. We barely had time to understand it ourselves before it blew up online. So end it, Sarah said. Right now. Tell everyone it was a stunt, a mistake, whatever. Just end it. Choose me. She looked at Diana when she said that. Not me. The room went very still. Diana stared at her daughter. I could see it. The part of her that had been a mother longer than anything else. The instinct to fix, to smooth, to sacrifice. It was right there in her eyes. She looked at me then. And I knew this was the moment. The whole crazy plan. The 3 weeks. The fake story. It all led here. To this impossible choice. Diana looked at her daughter like she was seeing her at every age at once. 5 years old with crayons on her hands. 13 with braces and too much eyeliner. 26 with a suitcase in her hand, leaving her marriage behind. Choose me, Sarah had said. I could feel my heart pounding. If Diana told me this was over, I would have to accept it. She was a mother first. She always would be. Diana took a slow breath. Her fingers tightened around the counter. Then she stepped out from behind it and stood between us. Sarah, she said softly, I love you. That will never change. Not on my worst day, not on yours. You are my daughter. But I am not choosing between you and Jason. Sarah stared at her like she had not heard right. You already chose, she said. You said yes to him. I said yes to being seen, Diana said. I said yes to not sitting alone in a restaurant while strangers laughed at me. I said yes to someone who helped me when he had nothing to gain. She took another step closer to her daughter. You want me to end this so you can feel less strange about it, Diana continued. But where were you when I cried myself to sleep for months after your father left? Where were you when I could not get out of bed? Where were you when I sat at this same table and watched you tear into Jason for not getting over his hurt fast enough? Sarah's eyes filled with tears. That is not fair, she said weakly. I am not trying to be fair, Diana said. Her voice shook but did not break. I am trying to be honest. I stayed in a bad marriage for years because I thought that was what a good mother did. I kept the peace. I smiled when I wanted to scream. I chose everyone else instead of myself until there was nothing left of me. She glanced back at me for a second. There was something steady in her eyes now. I am done disappearing, she said, turning back to Sarah. I am done living only for other people's comfort. I will not break something good just because it makes you uncomfortable. So he is more important than me? Sarah whispered. No, Diana said at once. He is not above you. But he is not below you either. You are my daughter. He is the man I am choosing right now. There is room in my life for both. But I will not throw him away to make you feel better about choices you made. The kid in the corner left quietly, giving us a wide berth. The shop felt too small for everything hanging in the air. Sarah looked at me. I could see old hurt, fresh hurt, and pride all twisted together. So that is it? She asked. You two play house and pretend this is normal? Quote, This will never be normal, I said. Not at first, maybe not ever, but it is real, at least for me. I stepped out from behind the counter, so I was standing next to Diana. When I proposed to you in that restaurant, I said to her, I was trying to save you from a bad night. I did not think about what came next. I did not think about how real it would start to feel. I did not think about how much I would look forward to your texts in the morning, or the way you laugh when something actually surprises you. But I know this now. I am not pretending anymore. Diana's hand brushed mine. She did not take it, not yet, but she did not move away either. Sarah watched us. Then she let out a breath that sounded like surrender. I can't do this, she said. I can't watch this. She grabbed her bag. Sarah, Diana said quietly, please, do not walk out like this. We can find a way through. Sarah stopped at the door but did not turn around. I need time, she said. Maybe a lot of it. I cannot promise I will ever be okay with this, but I can promise I will not blow this up in public. I will not go online and tell everyone the truth just to hurt you. I am not Dad. Diana's shoulders sagged with quiet relief. Thank you, she whispered. Sarah's voice softened, just for a second. I hope he is worth all of this, she said. Then she walked out. The bell over the door gave a sad little ring, and she was gone. Silence wrapped around us. I turned to Diana. "I am sorry," I said. "If I had known it would come to this, I would have stayed in my seat that night." "No," she said. "You would not have. It is not who you are." Her eyes were shiny. She wiped them with the back of her hand and gave a wet laugh. "Remember when we said we would fake this for 3 weeks and then quietly break up?" she asked. I smiled a little. "Yeah, I think that plan is dead." "I think this stopped being fake somewhere around the cemetery," she said. I thought back to us sitting by my grandfather's grave, sharing stories about the people we lost. The way it felt natural to let her into that part of my life. The ring on her finger seemed to glow in the weak light from the windows. "So," I said, my heart racing, "what is this now? If it is not fake, what are we?" She finally took my hand, really took it, fingers lacing through mine. "We are two people who crashed into each other at a really strange moment," she said. "We are making a mess and trying to build something inside that mess. We are going to get it wrong sometimes. But if you still want this after today, then I want to try for real." "For real," I repeated. The words felt heavy and right. "For real," she said again. "We did not kiss. Not then. It was not a movie. It was a quiet moment in a half-empty bookstore with the smell of coffee and old paper around us. But something solid settled into place between us. We told the world the bare minimum. We did not go on TV. We did not do interviews. When the newspaper called again, Diana wrote a short reply. "Thank you for your interest," she said, "but we prefer to keep our story private." Online, the videos slowly moved down people's feeds as news stories took its place. Still, every now and then, someone would whisper, "That is them." When we were in line at the grocery store, New Year's came. We stood on my tiny balcony wrapped in the same blanket, watching fireworks explode over the city. At midnight, she turned to me. "Okay," she said. "We survived Christmas. We survived my brother. We survived Sarah. Do you still want this?" Quote. "Yeah," I said, "I do." Then she kissed me, not for show, not to prove anything to anyone, just because she wanted to. It was warm and steady and careful. Then it deepened, and all the careful parts slipped away. When we finally broke apart, we were both out of breath. "Happy New Year," she whispered. "Best one in a long time," I said. The months that followed were not simple. Sarah did not speak to Diana for a while. 2 weeks turned into 2 months. Then one day, Diana got a text with just 4 words. "I miss you. Coffee?" They met without me. I sat at the bookstore and tried not to stare at the door. That night, Diana came over with red eyes and a tired smile. "How did it go?" I asked. "She cried," Diana said. I cried. She said she still thinks this is weird. I said I agree. But she also said she wants me to be happy. She is not ready to see us together yet, but she is trying. "That is more than I expected," I said. "Me too," she said. "We took things slow in some ways and fast in others." She started spending more time at the bookstore, helping me with displays. She suggested hosting small author nights and art shows in the back room. Little by little, my slow business started to grow. One night, while we were closing, she ran her fingers over the edge of a worn bookshelf. "You know," she said, "if we knock down that back wall and extend into the storage room, you could add a small gallery space, mix books and art. I know people at the museum who might lend pieces." "Are you trying to make yourself indispensable?" I teased. Her eyes met mine. "I am trying to build a life with you," she said simply. It hit me then, hard and clear. This was what I had wanted years ago with Sarah and Ryan. To build something of my own. A place that felt like home. A place where the people around me chose the same dream. Only now, it was better. Because I was not trying to prove anything. I was just standing next to someone who believed in me. One evening, months later, I took her back to the Sterling room. It was quieter this time. No viral cameras. No broken hearts on display. Just us. She frowned a little when she saw where we were. "You are not going to propose again in here, are you?" she asked. Because I have had enough public drama for one lifetime. I smiled and shook my head. No audience this time, I said. Come on. We sat at a small table by the window. The server brought water and menus. Diana looked around with soft eyes. Last time I was here, she said, I thought I was going to throw up from embarrassment. Last time I was here, I said, I thought my life was about to fall apart again. And now? She asked. I reached into my pocket and felt the ring. The same ring. My grandfather's ring. The one that had started this whole thing. I figured we should give this place a new memory, I said. Her eyes widened when she saw the ring. Different this time. Less shock, more understanding. Jason, she said slowly, I did not kneel. There was no need. I just held the ring between us on the table. The first time I asked you this, I said, I was trying to save you. The second time, I am just trying to be honest. Her eyes filled with tears. You know this is going to be messy, she said, with Sarah, with your friends, with everyone who thinks there is a rule book for how love is supposed to look. I know, I said. But I also know I want to drink bad coffee with you when we are 80. I want to argue with you about where to put the mystery section when we move the shelves. I want to hold your hand when the hard days hit, because they always will. I took a breath. Diana Matthews, I said, will you marry me? For real this time, no act, no lie, just you and me figuring it out. She laughed through a tear. Who says this is bad coffee? She joked weakly. Then she reached across the table and took my face in her hands. Yes, she whispered. For real this time. Quote, when I slid the ring back onto her finger, it was not to protect her from shame or change a story in a room full of strangers. It was to mark the truth that had grown out of one crazy night. I did something wild to save her once. She did something even braver. She'd let herself be loved again.